Welcome back to another video, guys. It has come time that the BRZ has gotten to 10,000 miles. It is a little bit of a milestone for the car, especially since only buying it in March and it's already at 10,000 miles. That may not be a lot to some of y'all, but to me, it's a lot. Basically, I just wanted to give a review to you guys of the car and see if maybe this is something that you might want to buy in the future. So first things first that I can kind of go over that I like about the car, and that is 100% the looks of this car. I absolutely love the looks of this car. Everything about it is just so clean, and I like that it's, not super hard body lines. It's a pretty smooth car. It's nothing super crazy and loud. That's what I genuinely like about it. I will say the kit does help a lot as far as like the stock looks go. On the BRZ, I don't enjoy the front bumper. It's not terrible, but I don't enjoy it. But like, just look at that. I mean, looks don't get any better than that right there. Absolutely love the kit on this car. That takes me to my second reason. The customizability of this car is insane. There's so much that you can do already, especially since you can take Gen 1 parts and put them on the Gen 2s. Only some parts, not all, but for the most part, you can go ahead and get started super quickly, even though a company may not have your parts. A lot of the stuff comes off of the Gen 1s. And with customizability, taking the parts off of this car is super, super easy, very DIY friendly. Whenever I did the suspension on this, I was able to remove the suspension in like 30 minutes. That is something that, you can't really do on a lot of cars. So I can easily say that the suspension on this car is super easy to work on. As far as the body kit goes, I had everything stripped down in like 45 minutes. As far as customizability goes, it is super easy to work on, and there's tons of parts already out for the car. And one thing that I can say that is a huge plus for me is how this car drives. From stock, this car drives absolutely amazing, and even putting on some sort of suspension just makes it 1,000 times better. I can easily say that, the stock suspension was something that was able to hook, get down in corners, and it was really enjoyable and a really fun way to actually enjoy the car. The bags make it a little bit more weird to corner and stuff, but it's because I don't have the supporting mods to keep it planted on the ground. That will be coming soon though. But as for right now, even with the bags, it still drives amazing. I love how it sounds. That is also another big thing. It sounds just Subi rumble is amazing, and even though I don't have unequal length headers, it still sounds super, super good, even with just the catback. The parts for this car are super, super affordable compared to other cars. Coming from a Mustang, all of those parts were super expensive and not super easy to afford. In itself, headers for this car is probably around, on the high end, $800, whereas on the Mustang, it was $1,500 just for some headers. And to get them installed, well over $1,000 just to install them. And on this car, you could easily install it yourself. It is super easy to do. I've seen plenty of my friends do their own headers, and it looks super easy compared to what a Mustang. You basically have to pull out the engine to do it. And as far as affordability goes, this car in itself is not a very expensive car. It is something that could be very, very affordable for somebody just getting into the car scene, or somebody who's just kind of like right out of high school, something that a simple job could easily afford you. So this is definitely a great starter car for people who want to get into cars. I highly recommend this car as far as affordability goes. Something that's also like a big plus for me is engine space. If you have ever come from a Mustang or you own a Mustang, you know that there is zero working space whatsoever on that car, and it is an absolute pain in the butt to do absolutely anything to that car. This car, you can easily see that there is a whole lot of room. Like, I can stick my hand all the way down to the headers if I wanted to. I can literally reach my transmission bolts from the back of the engine. There's so much room to be able to do whatever in here. Yes, my engine bay is super dirty. I haven't cleaned it in a while. This engine bay is it's got so much room, and that is a huge thing for me. Sticking with the engine bay, one thing I absolutely love that is like a weird thing, but it is something that I love, and it is the fact that the oil filter is on top of the engine. On a lot of cars, especially my girlfriend's car, getting the oil filter out when doing an oil change is one of the most painful things in the world. And having this on top of the engine is just so convenient, and I absolutely love that. Moving on to the inside of the car. A few things that I can say that I absolutely enjoy is the digital dash. The digital dash is something super nice. And it's a simple thing that is also super nice. In the Mustang, I didn't really have like a fully digital dash. I still had like the gauges and stuff like that, but I really enjoyed the digital dash on this. It is so clean. Something that was an absolute necessity moving into this car coming from the Mustang was the radio. On the radio on the Mustang, it is literally just a screen about like that big and about that wide, and you just have like a calculator pretty much. And I hated it. It bothered me so much, and I could not stand that thing. On this car, having the full radio where it's a screen and Apple Play and all of that stuff, it's so nice compared to what I was dealing with, and I am just so happy that I'm now in this, and I can actually have a full-on radio and Apple Play and all that stuff. Something else that's super nice about this interior is the comfortability of the seats. I can easily ride in this car for hours and not have any back problems, my butt start hurting, any of that stuff. I can comfortably ride in this car without any issues. Me being a taller and bigger person, I kind of struggle to sit into a lot of seats and actually be comfortable, but these seats, I can say that they are actually comfortable. I will say later down the road, these seats will be getting taken out, but for stock, these seats are super comfortable and I love them so much. Now, a couple things that I can say that I don't like about the interior is how much space there is, and also going back to being a bigger and taller person, I kind of struggle to fit in this thing super comfortably. Now, the seats may be super comfortable and my back and butt don't hurt, but as far as driving goes, I have a lot of pet peeves, I could say. One pet peeve being is when I go to downshift, my knee is literally right here on the steering wheel. So I can't really pull back too much or else, I'm hitting my wheel. Especially whenever I'm going to turn and I'm downshifting or I have my clutch in and I pull out, my hand will get caught right here. So that bothers me a little bit. And then also having to sit so far back, little hard to, reach. I wouldn't say it's hard to reach, but I like keeping my hand on this shift knob, and if it's in like 6th gear, riding super stretched out is just not the most comfortable thing in the world. The rest of the interior is pretty decent comfortability wise. I can say that there are a few things that I dislike about the interior, and one of those being is the red stitching. I'm not a fan of the red stitching or any colored shifting for that matter. I usually like the simple white, silver, black stitching. I'm not a big fan on colored stitching unless it just ties the whole interior together, and I really just don't like the red stitching. I think it throws off, the way that I want to go with the car, and it will be getting changed out, but at the same time, it is something that is a pet peeve for me. I wish I got the GR86 strictly for the silver stitching. It's something that I can change out, so it's not a massive deal, but for the most part, the red stitching is not my favorite. Another thing that's a little bit uncomfortable for me and not something that I really enjoy too much is how the cup holders sit. So they are like all the way back here. This is the furthest up cup holder, and I have to do this or this to even grab it. So that is a little bit uncomfortable for me, especially being somebody who has really long arms, and I'm also a bigger person, so reaching back here is just a little bit uncomfortable, especially when I'm trying to, just take a drink real quick, and I have to reach all the way back here and basically let go of my shift knob. It's just a little bit inconvenient, but for a lot of you that might not be a problem, but for me it is. One thing coming from a Mustang where I have rev match, this car does not have rev match. And for those of you who don't know what rev match is basically where if I push in the clutch and I downshift a gear, the car will automatically rev up to where I need to be instead of having to rev match myself. Rev matching myself isn't hard. It's not a bad thing to do. I just preferred it doing it itself. It made the manual so much easier to drive, and it was just a lot more comfortable as far as daily driving went. So I really hate that this car doesn't have rev match, but it doesn't bother me to a point to where it would be a deciding factor on if I would get rid of this car or not. And something that's a little bit of a problem with me with this car is rev hang. Whenever I want to do a pull here and there, I'll shift into the next gear and the RPMs will just kind of hang where they're at and take a little bit longer to come down. And it's not very consistent. So some days it'll do it, some day it won't. I've heard from a few of other BRZ friends that they also have it and they hate it. They cannot stand it, but it's not, again, not something that would determine us not getting the car or not. It's just kind of like a pet peeve kind of thing where it kind of sucks, but at the same time, it's not enough that it's gonna take you away from buying the car. Moving back outside of the car, one thing that bothers me just a little bit is the brakes. So one, I'm not a fan of how the brakes look. They're super small and, you know, got that cast look to them, so I don't really enjoy that too well. But the brake stopping ability is not super strong in this car. Compared to, you know, a Mustang with a big brake, it's not as touchy, and I'm used to a touchy brake. I like touchy brakes. So, and again, that's something that you can easily change out. So it's not like it's a massive downside, but I am somebody who enjoys really touchy brakes, and these are just a little bit too soft for my opinion and my liking. But for you, it may not be an issue, but for me, it is something that bothers me, and I can say that I don't really like that about the car. But all in all, I really enjoy this car. Even though I do have some of the dislikes and the pet peeves, this car has been absolutely amazing. And the 10,000 miles have been the most comfortable 10,000 miles and the most enjoyed 10,000 miles I've ever had. I can easily recommend this car to anybody that is willing to get into cars, or somebody who just wants, you know, a more affordable build. I have gone above and beyond on the build, so not many of you will have to spend the money that I do. But as far as this car goes, it is a very fun car. Whether you track it, whether you want to do stance, any type of build, this car is meant for it all. And I really enjoy this car. I would not trade this thing for the world, and I cannot wait to, you know, modify it to where it is more to my liking and I enjoy the car just a little bit more. But as far as stock goes and how it sits right now, I cannot be happier with this car. The plans I have for it's just going to be so much fun, and I'm so excited to bring y'all along for the journey. Also really hope that this helped y'all decide on if this is a car that y'all want, if y'all are looking at getting one of these. If y'all have any questions, y'all can comment below and I can help answer them the best of my ability. But I can easily say that I enjoy this car and I highly recommend it to anybody. And I hope to be doing more uploads here soon. I got a couple video ideas coming up soon that I think will be super cool. I'm trying to upload at least twice a month, so I appreciate y'all for, you know, sticking around, and y'all killed the last video, honestly. For it being an hour long, y'all did, I'm so happy, and I cannot thank y'all enough for killing that video. It was like 730 views. For a lot of people, that's not a lot, but for me, that is a lot, and I highly appreciate it, guys. And I hope that y'all can stay tuned to my videos and seeing how the BRZ transforms. I hope to bring y'all some entertaining content, and I have a bunch of parts coming for this car pretty soon. So there will be a couple parts install videos, but I also have some cool ideas coming up soon. But again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see y'all in the next video.